So, this is Warside, and if the reviews on Steam were anything to go by, nobody would ever buy this game. This is a turn-based tactic strategy game, war game, and there's a campaign, there's PvP, there's also an editor to make your own stuff. And a lot of the complaints are, well, I was going to say they're on specific things, but they're not. Like, people are moaning about almost everything. And I have played this one. I just jumped into the campaign, didn't do any PvP or anything like that. And I want to go through everything in this game. So I want to talk about some of their choices with certain things in the game. I want to talk about the gameplay itself. And we're going to start with the music in this game is all copyright protected, so you will not be able to live stream or upload video content to YouTube and use any of the music in this game. The whole thing is copyrighted. And not only that, the music they've selected for it doesn't really fit the game. Like, it's not a sort of music track you would think would be in a game like this. However, with that being said, they do have a content sort of creator mode. And what that's going to do is it will mute all of the licensed music. So all the stuff that's going to get you in copyright trouble, you can mute it. However, it kind of doesn't make any sense to have that in there, because when you use that, you just disable all music. Everything is license protected, so you might as well just turn your music volume to 0. There is no difference between muting the music volume yourself and turning on this switch for content creator music or mode or whatever to block out the licensed music. And there are a lot of people that have been moaning about game-breaking bugs. I jumped into the campaign, started playing, and I have not come across any game-breaking bugs. The reason for it is I believe a lot of the reviews regarding bugs were from like the moment the game launched. They have put out patches and they have fixed a lot of stuff already. I played after those said patches, so this video could have been entirely different if I had played the moment it released. Because there were even complaints about not being able to press B on your controller to deselect a troop you had selected. However, that does work now. You don't need to worry about that being an issue. But you jump into the campaign. One thing that was a little bit irritating was there's no actual talking sounds. There's no dialogue volume, audio, whatever you want to call it. You are just going to get these sort of dialogue pop-ups. You'll see the conversation in text form, and there's no intro cinematic, there's no introduction to the game. They kind of just throw you in at the deep end. It's like, here you go, here's the tutorial level, but we're not going to explain anything or have a major opening to the game or anything like that. And this is not an early access title. This is a full-blown release, and they've had a Kickstarter, they've had playtest after playtest. But then I'm going to say with the gameplay, I absolutely love it. This reminds me of a game called Panzer Corps, or the game from back when I was a kid, one of my childhood favourites, Panzer General. The first game was released in 1994, the year I was born. It's got that sort of style, but in a cartoony art form. So what you do is you select one of your troops, you move it into an attacking position, you click on the enemy you're going to attack. You're going to see roughly how much damage you're going to deal, as well as how much you're going to receive. And you've got all of the pros and cons. So buggies are going to deal way more damage to infantry. Infantry are going to do good against other infantry, and they'll also do okay against like artillery and stuff. But that's just because artillery can't fire back, because when you attack an enemy, they're going to have an attack as well. And then when you're attacked, you're going to have your defensive attack at the same time. So say I have a buggy, I move it into position to attack infantry. I might deal 60 odd damage, they're going to deal about 8 or something like that. And when you are on the attack, you're always going to attack first. There's no counters to where they can attack first during your attack sequence, if that makes any sense. So you're not going to have a tank go against their tanks and they're going to shoot first. You're always going to shoot first. And that's only when you're attacking. When they are using their turn, they are attacking, they will always attack first. And I love the way they do that, because say you've got a tank and they've got a tank, they're both at 100% health. If you get there first and you deal the initial damage, you might deal 40 odd, they're going to deal about 20, they're going to lose 4 tanks. So future turns, they try and attack you, like with that specific unit, they're not going to deal anywhere near as much damage as what they would if you would have let them attack first. So this is kind of a turn-based strategy game where you are going to have to try and attack first all the time. And there are different difficulties to this campaign. I just played it on normal, and I feel as though it's really, really easy easy, even on that difficulty, and I can't see it getting too much harder. And another thing in this game is it's not just about going from your side of the map to the enemy side, attacking them, taking out all their troops. You are going to have buildings you need to overtake with infantry only, so you can't set a tank to go and take over the building. It has to be infantry. And there's going to be buildings that are going to improve your income because you're going to get money at the end of each turn. And there are also buildings that you can take over random barracks and random like tank factories or whatever you want to call them, like vehicle factories. You can take them over on the map, so you can give yourself a tactical advantage if you can capture, say, one of the missions in the campaign is going to give you a vehicle factory halfway across the map. You'll be able, like, providing you get infantry into that building, you're going to be able to deploy tanks and stuff from there. It's going to save you all of those turns that you would take if you was deploying the vehicles from your main base. And you can fight for all of these buildings. You can even go and capture the enemies, like starting vehicle factories and barracks. And these campaign levels are completed when you have wiped out every enemy unit on the screen. So you don't have to go and take over all of the buildings. You can leave some if you want to. But as I said, at the end of each turn, you're going to be given some income. And when you get like 9 grand, you'll be able to get a tank. When you got 4.5 grand, you can get a buggy. 1,500 is going to get you some infantry. Then you'll have rhinos, you'll have rocket vehicles. The rockets are incredible in this game. And they've got like full-blown animations for the attacking sequences. So you'll get to see some infantry units being blown to smithereens, like when you're attacking them with buggies and things like that. And as well as the rockets, another one of my favourites are the rhinos, because you can just push tanks into water if there's like a stream going through the map, and that's going to completely blow the tanks up. They're not going to have a chance. They can't survive in water. Infantry can travel through water, vehicles can't. To get through water for a vehicle, you have to cross a bridge. But not only that, you can use the rhino to push enemy vehicles into their own buildings, and that will destroy the vehicles too. So the rhinos are a lot of fun. The rockets, the artillery, the tanks, it's all an absolute blast to use. So in terms of gameplay, I had no issues with it. I had a lot of fun with it. I would say the campaign's not that great though, because the way they've set up the dialogue, there's no talking or anything like that. It's literally just done through text. I think they could have put a lot more effort in, especially for how much they're charging for this game. So this game, a full release, cartoon sort of art style to it, and this game is going to cost you £23. I think that is far too expensive. I think this one should cost around £12 to £15. They do have a launch discount. The launch discount is 10%, so you're paying a little over 20 quid. But I think it's way too overpriced for what it is. The PvP is 1v1, and I did actually have an issue because I clicked on the PvP. I was going to search for a PvP battle, and once it starts searching, you can't actually cancel it. So it's going to leave this like pop-up box in front of everything on your screen, and the only way to get around it is to just like click on campaign and go into a mission. And if I remember seeing some of the reviews, people said it's 1v1 like PvP, but it's online only. You can't do online PvP against your friends. I need to try and find the review to see what the person said, because I literally just played the campaign in this one. And that's a very big problem I've just noticed. I was looking through the reviews, couldn't find it, and they've straight up lied in their basic training. I'm going to get a clip of this and put it in the video, because I feel this one actually needs to... I need to show you what's being said here.
Various campaign modes, and a few twists and surprises too. Play through an epic solo story campaign about the battle for supremacy on a continent under threat from multiple warring factions. Fight alongside fellow commanders in co-op missions, or go head-to-head in up to 4-player PvP battles against your sworn enemies.
So you would have heard it in that clip. They said multiple campaign modes. They also said co-op missions, and they said up to 4-player PvP. So the game currently only has is random matchmaking. There are no lobbies. Is 1v1 at the moment. According to one of the reviews, they promised to eventually add in the stuff they've said will be in that basic training video. They've said intuitive turn-based gameplay with a familiar feel for fans of the classics, 14 playable commanders, control 30 plus unit types, faction unique units with mechanics specific to each faction, single-player campaign with over 30 missions, forest, desert and snow environments plus the toxic wastelands, challenge friends and foes of multiplayer battles, local and internet play are supported but they're not, design your own maps with the built-in mission editor for both single and multiplayer. So there are no skirmishes with your friends or anything like that. The multiplayer, the only thing they have in the game is 1v1 PvP battles. There's no lobbies or anything. It's literally just that random matchmaking. Oh, okay, and it's just come to my attention. I wanted to wrap this video up, but they have put out an event, like a news thing. They said these issues have now been resolved. Custom lobbies are now once again available to play with friends. Oh, so you can play with your friends. They fixed matchmaking using only a single map from the pool. So the matchmaking had an issue where only one map was ever picked. They fixed the soft lock if one player accepts a multiplayer game but another doesn't. Fixed labels on the main menu reverting to all say campaign. Fixed an issue with currency income that made the game unplayable. Fixed an issue with a missing play mission button on the editor, so players can now play custom maps. We have a few features we are still patching up. We will be making daily updates this week and the game should be in a good state before the weekend. So skirmish mode for local player versus AI matches, a fix for campaign mission The Last Stand not correctly triggering its event sequence, a general tidy of the campaign mode and fixing the reported issues, an increase in campaign difficulty for the highest settings. And then they've been monitoring feedback. In the coming weeks they're going to work to add and improve features that have been asked for, including Steam achievements, a dossier with commanders so players can read up on them, a local co-op multiplayer campaign, so it's not even online co-op. It's a local co-op multiplayer campaign, continued gameplay balancing and difficulty adjustments, localization bug fixes. So they just straight up lied. They've said 2v2, like they said up to 4 player PvP battles, that's not a thing. They said co-op missions, and that's going to be in the coming weeks, where you have a local co-op multiplayer campaign. So how are you going to do, like, there is no online co-op. There is no wonder this game is mixed. And they're charging £23. This is a full release. And a bunch of stuff isn't in the game. A bunch of stuff wasn't working during release. I don't get it. And this ain't a cheap game. So I'm going to answer the question, is it worth buying? No. Just no. It's got very, very enjoyable gameplay. But there are so many things that have been lied about that aren't currently in the game, that are being worked on, that have needed fixing, and so on and so forth. The price is far too expensive for what this is. I was going to recommend this game, but doing that just purely on the gameplay isn't fair. And I think I'm a little bit biased because Panzer General was one of my all-time favourite games. Growing up as a kid, I played that game so much. No one ever played it in 1994 when I was a baby. I'm not superhuman. As I was growing up, when I was at the age where I could sit there and play games, I was playing Panzer General. And it was one of my favourite games. So I think I've got a little bit of bias towards the gameplay style. And overall, the gameplay is very fun in this game, biased or not. But that doesn't warrant the price tag. It doesn't warrant the lies and stuff from the developers. And I don't give a shit how good you make this game. Don't fucking lie about features and stuff in your game and charge over the top for it. It's unacceptable. And the thing is, the publisher, First Break Labs, they've only ever released a handful of games. And I'm going to say most of the games they've released actually look decent. But Lava Bird, I think, like the developer Lava Bird, I think this is their first game. And while the gameplay's enjoyable, it's not the greatest start because development came to an end. They've released it full release and it's had game-breaking bugs. There's issues with the difficulty. They're going to be rebalancing and adjusting things and adding things in that were supposed to be there at launch that just wasn't. What they should have done with this one is delayed it until it was actually ready. They should have set it back. It released on the 14th of April. It probably shouldn't have come out until the beginning of May. I think they've made a massive mistake releasing it so early because it's now sat to mixed. I'm not going to recommend it. I think if you're going to make a game, because this isn't a massive game either, I think if you're going to make a game this small and try to give the turn-based tactics strategy wargame players something good, do it properly. If you're not going to do it properly, don't bother doing it at all. I love the idea and the concept they went for, but the execution's been poor. So to answer the question, is it worth buying? I'm going to say no. Unfortunately, there's just too much going against it. The only thing I really enjoyed was the gameplay side of it, and I can't just ignore everything else. The gameplay is the main focus, but there's just too much going on outside of the gameplay alone that make this one not worth it. At a lower price, yeah, but its current price, no. If this was about a tenner, I'd say grab it, but it's over double that. So yeah, not worth buying. We're going to leave that video there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about Warside in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed it.